Hey everyone, I'm Kate Kennedy and I'm here with day 46 of 100 Days of Kane, PA. And yesterday we started talking about and sharing stories about the tornado of 1985. And today we're going to hear from a family whose house was destroyed in the tornado, and they're going to share their experiences both of what it was like to be here when the tornado came through, as well as what it was like to not be here and come home and see the house destroyed. So we're going to talk with Rob and Becky Mary and two of their three children, Matt and Mike Mary. So I'm going to go ahead and you around. We're going to come on up here.
Boy.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi there. All right, so we have Rob Mary, Becky Mary, Matt Mary, and Mike Mary.
Hello.
And we're going to start with you guys. So you're not native to Kane. But you moved here in 1984. But how did you get here? First of all, how did you guys meet?
We both went to the same high school and graduated together. And
A rumor has it you were voted cutest couple in your high school. Is that right?
that's right.
We got the yearbook to prove it. Can I show this picture here?
Sure.
Cutest couple. Becky and Rob. I think that's a pretty cute couple. To this day.
True.
And then you moved to Kane. What brought you to Kane?
My work. We lived in Edinboro, and I worked in Marionville, and so we chose to live in Kane rather than in Marionville or Sheffield because of the schools primarily.
Mm-hmm. Good school district.
Yeah, and then so rather than drive from Edinboro where we moved from, we much shorter commute daily.
So you moved to Kane. You wanted to get these guys into school at the beginning of the school year. So like end of August, 1984, you moved to Kane.
Correct.
And when did you move into this house here on Laurel?
Oh boy.
November, I think.
Yep.
No, I don't know.
Yeah,
Around
Around November of 1984.
Sure
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
yeah,
Had Thanksgiving here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved here in November of 1984, and then May 31st, 1985 happens. And you guys were separated. So the three of you plus Melissa were together here at the house, and you were at work in Marionville.
That's correct.
Let's go ahead and start with you guys. What are your memories of May 31st, 1985?
It was our last day of school. It was my last day of second grade, and we were eating dinner. It was late dinner, and we got a phone call from a neighbor that said there was going to be a tornado, and we didn't believe her. My mom didn't believe her, but we watched the sky turn green and start rolling, and we ran to the basement.
Okay, so you could see, like, you were looking out the window, and you could see that the weather was doing something weird. So
Yes.
what all did you see?
The color of the sky, I think, is what everybody always remarks about, because it's never that color any other time. What was it, a pea green?
Yeah.
Like a pea
Looked
green.
like pea soup.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Thick. It was odd.
Yeah.
But then we were down in the basement. We only had the little basement window.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden that's just covered in mud. And
So you could kind
you're
of,
out.
The
Yeah.
house was gone.
Then it's all guessing.
Yep.
So you decided to take them down to the basement. How did that go? You went downstairs. What'd you do when you got there?
I told them to grab something that they liked and let's go downstairs. And they did, followed the instructions just like little troopers. And we had a sofa down there that was a sleeper sofa. So we made it into a bed. The kids laid on the bed, and I threw a cover over them, and I laid on the cover. They said I dived on them, but I don't think I did. Maybe, I don't know. Then we just waited for it, and Matthew, the youngest, like the Wizard of Oz, like I did, and he said, "Is this going to be like the Wizard of Oz?" And I said, "No, heavens, no."
So do you remember what you brought down there with you?
I do. I took a stuffed animal, a Care Bear.
Which one?
Oh, it was Funshine Bear. It's the yellow one with a big ball of sunshine on his stomach. No sunshine that day.
Do you remember what you brought, Mike?
I don't
I
don't
did.
remember. What did I
I
bring?
think you took your G.I. Joe
Oh yeah, probably.
carrier, or no, the hovercraft thing. I remember you were pretty attached to that.
Yes.
Oh, that's not
Oh, there
necessary.
we go. We got the little
There it is.
sunshine bear.
Oh yes. Yes, yes.
Okay, so you're down in the basement. You guys are laying on the bed, covered up. You're on top of them. How did you know that the tornado had come?
Well, the rocks and the mud that piled up on the window in our basement, that was a pretty good indication. The roar. I lived by the railroad tracks as a little kid, and that sound was like trains roaring. And it didn't last too long, but long enough to do a lot of damage. And as soon as it stopped, it was just quiet. And I went up the stairs, no kitchen left, looked down the road, and it looked like a war zone had hit. And let's see, what else?
So was the house completely gone, like all of the rooms, or
Every room except the back corner, right corner of our house, which was our bedroom. There was a desk in there that still had papers and bills and receipts on it.
so even though this big storm came through with lots of wind, the desk pretty much was untouched?
Right.
That's so creepy.
Yes.
And what else? Wasn't there something else? You were talking about dinner.
Oh.
Oh yeah, we had breakfast for dinner that night, and that was the last time we've ever had breakfast for dinner that I know of. And that electric skillet was still sitting right there with the eggs in it. And that's probably why I never had it again.
So you walk up the steps and you see dinner still
Just
on
that.
the table,
Yeah.
and the house was pretty much gone.
No house.
No house.
Dinner was pancakes and eggs, and yeah, it was very crazy. I don't know. I it's hard to explain, I guess, but it all happened so fast, and we were so young.
Yeah.
But it does. I think it stays in your memory forever. The one thing I remember being in the basement was your ears popping.
Oh.
It was so loud, and I think there must be a major pressure change. So it was like, when you're driving up a
I don't
mountain.
know if the kids
And your
noticed
ears
if
pop.
the house was gone or not when you come out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really don't remember that part. All I remember is being in that living room. There were a lot of people in that house
Smells.
up there.
You can remember the smells.
Yeah,
The mud.
it smelled like a worm box and,
Worm box.
and gas, because that's all you could smell was gas leaking.
Natural gas.
So the electricity was out.
Yep.
So you come up. It's probably dusk at that time, right? See the house is gone, and what did you do next?
I knew I wanted to get them away from here. And I thought probably across the street up there, it's going to be fine. I didn't think anything would be wrong. So I wanted to get them across the creek and up the road, and we'd go into town and we'd call Dad. Well, we couldn't call Dad because there was no phone service anywhere. We stayed at Gloria Hall's, and what was his name? Gene?
The kid's name was John. He was our age.
Gene Hall, I think.
But
Gene.
I don't remember.
He was a guidance counselor at the high school for a while. And she said, come in here, so we did. And Matthew crawled behind their couch, didn't he?
Yeah.
In the corner, I know he was sleeping.
And went to sleep.
Oh.
He could still do that. And we just sat there in a stupor, not knowing what to
Sure.
do.
Yeah. Just kind of waiting and seeing what was next.
Right. And I did hear Rob coming down the sidewalk.
So you guys were here, went to the basement, the tornado comes through, it's over, you come upstairs, the house is gone, you cross the creek, and then you're safe in a neighbor's home. You're at work,
Right.
driving home, not knowing any of this has happened.
Correct.
So tell us about your experience.
Well, I drove home, and I don't know what time it was when I left Marionville, but it took a couple hours, it seems like, to drive home because of all the trees that were down. But we didn't know, so I was thinking the next day that I would take Becky and the kids down and show them all the trees that I had seen coming on my way home that were blown down. So
Like not having any idea.
no. And
What had
then
happened
when I
next?
got to the cemetery up here, there was a fire police up there, and they said, you can't go through. I said, what was the matter? And they said, the tornado had hit. And I said, oh, where? And he said, well, all the houses on that first street there are gone. I said, oh, my God, that's where I live. I got to get there. And he said, no, you can't get there. And I said, well, I'm going to go. And I parked my truck in the cemetery, and just crawled through the trees and debris and stuff, and finally got up here, and I couldn't find anybody.
What were you feeling at that moment?
Terror, I guess. It was horrifying.
So you come to the house, it's destroyed, and your family's not there.
Right.
How did you end up reconnecting?
I don't know how we really found them. I think Bob Bentz, actually, that lived next door, said he thought they went up the street, so I went up that way, and when I got by a hall, somebody come out and said they're in here, in the house.
Oh my gosh, you must have felt so relieved.
Yeah, that was pretty relieving, that's for sure.
Yeah. So you guys all are back together again.
Yep.
It's nighttime at this point. It's dark. There's not electricity. What did you do next?
Well, I think we just tried to gather our stuff up, and then, of course, our car was destroyed, so we didn't have any transportation. My truck was down there, but you couldn't get up through town. I finally, sometime in that evening, got up to the cemetery, got the vehicle. I think I went down by the gravel pit, the Powell zone now, and got back into town that way, and managed to get down to where Becky and the kids were. We got loaded up, then I drove them, and we went to my parents' house in Rixford and stayed with them.
Okay. So you got out of town that night?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know, probably 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning before we left the town.
Sure. Yeah, and then the next day, what happened?
The next day, our families and stuff gathered together, and we come up here and started just going through the rubble of what was left and so on. Becky took the kids to her mother's house, and she took care of the kids, and Becky brought my mother's car up, I guess, and drove back up. And we were here already trying to bring some order to this. I mean, we didn't know what we were going to do at that point. Mm-hmm. You know, it was dark, so we didn't know. We just had no idea what we were going to do.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it was a shock.
Yeah, we didn't know if we were going to. I mean, we didn't even think about rebuilding or anything at that point.
Right.
Just trying to salvage, find things, and
you guys were new to town, so you were saying earlier that a lot of your furniture was new.
Brand new. We bought it from Bentz's, and I just loved it, and I didn't want the kids to get anything on it, and
then you were just happy to be able to save some of it.
Right. We had a pillow, I think, off of it.
Yeah, forever we had that pillow.
What were some of the things that you guys salvaged?
I mean, I think that they got silverware, dishes. There were some pictures. We had our photo albums, dishes. I
still have my Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, all of our toys.
Thank goodness.
They were packed with mud.
Almost all of our toys.
Yeah.
and all the
down the
clothing
basement.
and stuff was wet, so they had to take it, and we put it in bags and stuff. We took it to I can remember Becky spreading that stuff out just on the grass, drying it out and stuff, cleaning it at my mother's house. And her mother took clothes and washed them, and I mean, everything was soaking wet and filthy, just mud, and it was terrible.
But there are people that found things of yours.
Yep.
Too, that were far away from here.
Right, and then they knew that they were ours, so they would return them, like pictures and photo albums.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you tell anything else other
Yeah.
than that. You know,
Yeah.
whose
Yeah.
is whose.
Right. Okay, so then when did you decide to rebuild, and how did you decide to do that?
We waited for a couple months just to, I don't know, get our heads screwed on.
Trying to find a place to live in Kane.
Right. Rented a place.
That wasn't easy.
And most of the neighbors were selling their properties. We didn't know if we were going to sell or rebuild. Frank Novosel lived across the street. He decided he was going to stay and rebuild, so we come to the conclusion if Frank was going to stay, we would stay.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. And you said it really not only changed destroyed your house, but changed the landscape here too, right?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, I mean, it was all covered with trees and I mean, we could see clear up to Pennsylvania Avenue. We could see Kane lumber from here. We could see up on Hemlock. We could see just all over.
Yeah,
It
so
was
there
amazing.
had
It
been
was just
trees,
bare.
and then it was bare.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you were starting to rebuild, and then you lost your house May 1985, and when did you get back in after you built?
We moved back in here in December of '85.
December of 85. So a
Yeah,
couple
we spent Christmas in here.
And when you moved back in, did you have help from anybody in the community?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people came to help our church and our neighbors, and we all helped each other much as we could.
Which church did you attend?
Presbyterian Church. John Black was our minister.
And he helped you guys get settled in once you were able to move back in. That
Yeah.
church did.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because you guys were new to town.
Right.
And you guys just finished your first year of school.
Yep, first year, second grade, and kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
And your sister?
She would have been fifth grade. Yeah.
Fifth grade, second
Yeah.
grade, and kindergarten. Finishing your first year of school, and then this happens the last day of your first year at Kane
Which
School.
is also known as the first day of summer.
That's true.
I mean, when you think about it as a 5-year-old, hey, we're out of school. Great.
But you spent the summer at your grandparents'
yeah,
house,
and that's
huh?
just as good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they had the Otto Eldred swimming pool, so we spent some days there, I think.
Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a blur. I guess I don't
Yeah,
remember
yeah, that was
summer
kind
too
of a
much.
blur.
Yeah, but then you guys moved back in and really got a chance to get to know people. I think you made that point earlier, Matt, of like really got to know your neighbors.
On May 31st of '86, we had a party down here on the lot of Bentz's. That was kind of all cleared off, and so we used that. We had it like a picnic there in their yard, in their driveway, and
It was just a driveway. That was it.
yeah. Well, there was the foundation
Foundation.
there,
Right,
and the floor
right.
was there, and so then everybody on the street met down there. That was
Part of it.
we had a little party.
And it took a year to recover from it. So, I mean,
Yeah.
met everybody May 31st, 1985, and probably everybody went their own ways for a while, and finally a year later you could relax a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big
Try a real summer that time.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a big deal, and really I think that's neat. I didn't know that you guys had that party, but it's a neat thing to come
Yeah.
together because it really
Yeah.
bonded you, I'm
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people here we didn't know because we hadn't lived here long.
Yeah.
And so that year we met most of the people here on the street. But a lot of them, sold their house or their lot and moved on.
Mm-hmm.
Several of the houses were changed ownership. And they chose not to rebuild.
Yeah. But here you are.
Yeah.
Here we are.
And everybody that lives in Kane knows there's two different Canes. There's winter Kane and summer Kane. And we moved in this house and it started snowing. And everybody stays holed up in their houses.
Yes.
So we really didn't know anybody.
That's
and
true.
like Matt said, the church, everybody came together from that, I think. And a lot of the community came together to help. So it was nice.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
Everybody's out salvaging. Everybody's out rebuilding. You got new people moving in. 'Cause
Right.
Everybody sold their lots. So, I mean, it was...
It really brought people together, even though it was a terrible thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all new. Clean slate, I guess they call that. Literally.
Well, thank you guys so much for sharing the story. I mean, it's a big deal that you lost your house and rebuilt, but it's great to hear how everyone came together and how you got to know your neighbors through this. Is there anything else that you wanted to share about this experience that you didn't get a chance to yet?
As soon as you leave, I'll think of a million things.
I know, that's how it goes.
No, I don't think. Just it's hard to understand the trauma until you go through it, I think. And we never respected or understood my dad, but that would have been hard.
Right, to hear,
Yeah.
like, not being here and then coming
Yeah.
and there's nobody here. That would have been
Yeah,
really
that would have been tough.
tough.
Yep.
Yep. Do you want to show a few of the pictures?
Oh, sure. I laid them out here.
Okay, you point them out.
Well, this I guess was the aftermath of the craziness here. I
The
don't
next
know if we
day.
have.
Day
Oh,
night.
this was our house before.
So this is before the tornado.
So our driveway used to come up. It was a little different because this would have been South Edgar Street,
oh, I see.
but it
yeah.
never came through.
Yeah.
But our address was 310 South Edgar.
Oh.
so nobody could ever find our house. The UPS man would never, you know, he couldn't
'cause you're
find
on
our house.
Laurel.
He's driving down South Edgar, and there is no 310
Right.
South Edgar. But yeah, so anyhow, afterwards, Dad made the driveway go in from Laurel, so our garage doors are on the end of the house now. But yeah, it was all trees. It was just all tons of trees. We couldn't see the houses. But afterwards, our car was upside down in the living room. This would have all been the day after, I think. But
That's what it looks like.
yeah, because it
Wow.
would have been dark when this hit. So these pictures would have had to been the day after.
It's just a mess.
It is. It's amazing what happens. We were saying about how, you know, the simplest things can amaze us, but there was a stick that went through a piece of glass and it never made a crack. You couldn't tell that it wasn't, you know,
Oh, and you were saying about
fabricated.
this picture here.
Oh,
is
Matt's
what,
little stuffed bunny went through the wall.
and that's
yeah.
one of the things you saw when you came, right? You see this little stuffed bunny in the wall and are wondering where your family is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
That's the neighbor's house across the street.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, so that's all that was left after they cleaned it all up. That's the basement stairs. That's where
Oh,
they
wow.
came about.
So after all the debris was like, you salvaged what you could, and then all the
Yeah.
debris was removed. This is like the foundation,
Yep.
basically, that was left.
And that was
And that-
basement door.
And the basement door, and that's what you rebuilt what
And
on.
this was out of Jane Gilly's window of her house that got knocked off her whole house was tipped down.
Her house was pretty much intact, but it was off the foundation.
Yeah.
Oh,
The whole
geez.
house was just, oh, that was like Wizard of Oz. It was just crooked down
house
off the
began to
thing.
twitch.
We
But-
got out and looked for the witch.
Yeah, all these neat things. It's pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's really amazing to see what you've done with it, and how, like you said, it is a community trauma, really. But it's always inspiring to hear stories of connection through it too.
Yeah.
And you guys really got to experience that as newcomers.
Lucky us.
Welcome to Canada.
Welcome to Kane. All right,
Yeah.
you guys. Is there anything else that you want to share?
Nope, I don't think. Thanks for coming down.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing. We appreciate your perspective and your story. So thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. And it's really amazing to see how their house was completely destroyed, but they were okay, and how the community ended up coming together to help their new neighbors rebuild. And so I'd love to hear what your stories and your memories are of May 31st, 1985. So if you'd like to share, please share those in the comments. And thanks again for tuning in, and we'll be back again tomorrow for day 47.